Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the anime One Piece Season 1 on Netflix. And I watched the dub of this, and I actually really enjoyed it. I'm thinking, alright, some anime, let's see what this One Piece is about. And I actually really enjoyed it. Now, the thing is, this fucker is 61 episodes. And the rest of the seasons are kind of all over the place episode counts. So this will be more of a back burner one. Whereas there might be some new shit that pops off and I'll be like, I'm gonna check that out. And then at some point I'll get through the rest of them and bring this up because this first season did grab me into the world of One Piece and especially the characters. Most of them. A good majority of them. There are two that annoy me. However, since this is a fucking long ass damn thing, they could do other stuff with these kind of two characters that lessen the amount of annoyance that I can get from. So, we get the introduction that there was this King of the Pirates, Gold Roger. He was executed about 22 years ago because time goes a little bit weird in that I didn't get that until towards the end. I'm like, how old are these motherfuckers? And he had done everything. He had gotten everything that he could from life, and they captured him. And he's like, you want my treasure? Well, you can have it. All you got to do is find it. And sending off this great pirate era. And I was like, okay, that's actually pretty interesting there. It's kind of cool. So then we start kind of getting more and more stuff into it. We get introduced to Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy, as he then gets together with this kind of cabin boy dude, Kobe. I think it's Kobe. And we get introduced to Luffy. He's in this kind of barrel. He gets pulled on board of this boat, and then Alvida pretty much does her pirate thing to try and grab everything from there, but Luffy pops up. So I was like, hey, what's going on? And kind of helps the Kobe dude out as the rest of the pirates just rag shit on him. And his dream is to be part of the Marines because there's the pirates and then there's the world government and the Marines to fight the pirates. And we see that there's this whole bounty system involved and that Alvida's got 5 million berries. I do at least have to give certain credits for changing up different kind of naming systems for currencies, berries, oolongs, anything else in anime. It's just alright, that's interesting. But she's this big woman who's fucking always got to get validated. Who's the most beautiful? And Kobe's fuck this shit. And Luffy's fuck it. He's this rubber man thing's and we learn about devil fruits. And that if you eat a devil fruit, you get a power. But the sea's eat my ass. And you can't swim anymore. So it's I do like that risk rewards kind of thing going on with these devil powers. It does change up what Luffy can do with certain kind of battle things that we go on for. Now granted, this pretty much is shown in fighting stuff, and the thing is, even in this season, the kind of major kind of ones that we get do fall into the kind of lengthening traps of action where you get episodes that you got a lot of talking heads, a little bit of action, and then moving on to kind of string you along. Now granted, I do like shonens, but the thing is I've been around the block enough times to be that does annoy the shit out of me. However, the story and the characters are enough for me to have that not impact me so much, or me to grit my teeth through it. It's I get it, so let's kind of see what kind of goes on. But we see that Kobe wants to be a Marine, and Luffy wants to be king of the pirates, and he is assembling his crew. They get to this other kind of island, and he because there's supposed to be this infamous pirate bounty hunter, Zoro. And this is where I'm I like Luffy, except he falls into the trap of really kind of stupid. More on the level of Goku. I mean, Naruto is dumb, but I would Luffy's kind of stupidity kind of scares me of that yeah, he'd fucking accidentally kill himself. He's got heart. and he will protect his friends and everything like that. That's what I really like about him. I want to see him become king of the pirates and what kind of king of the pirates he would be. That's what draws me in with him, because he helps this dude go try to get in the Marines. He pretty much tries to get Zoro out, and we see this fucking captain dude with an axe. Like, everybody's got crazy shit in this world, and his son is just being a douche. Like, yeah, we'll kill the fucking Zoro dude. Whatever. We weren't gonna honor the whole thing. And he's like, that ain't happening. I got to be the world's greatest swordsman. And he's got this 3-style katana thing. Luffy gives him his stuff. They beat through this kind of shit. And the thing is, he also gets into a fight with Kobe, so that way he isn't associated with the pirates, even though he was a cabin boy for a couple of years with Alvida. And he starts going off on his own thing. So we see Luffy building his crew. We got Zoro. We get backstory on both Luffy and Zoro. Zoro is trying to be the greatest swordsman in the world. He had this one person, damn it. Okay. What was her damn name? Sorry, this is what happens when there's 60 some episodes. I'm gonna be a little bit. God, there's so much shit. But it's really kind of cool because he was. Well, Kamui? No. Hold, please. No, you a-holes. Well, he found this dojo, and the daughter of the dojo was as badass. She pretty much kicked everybody's asses, even the adults, and would continue to kick Zoro's ass. And the thing is, that was his kind of measuring stick to go by, and she would lament the fact that she wouldn't be able to take over the dojo because she was a woman. And Zoro was like, that's bullshit! You're one of the strongest fucking fighters, and I'm gonna fucking beat you, and I'm gonna become the best swordsman, so knock that shit off. What do you think that says to me when you beat the shit out of me? And it's interesting. However, she then fucking dies. It's interesting, but comically almost goddamn, it was just an accident. It wasn't any kind of training thing. She slipped and fell and died. And it's oh shit. And he's trying to figure out how to do this because he never beat her. And the thing is, his whole goal in life now is to become the best swordsman, so much so that it would pretty much put his name into the heavens to where she is. And he asks the father to take her sword, and he can utilize it as well as we see him utilizing his 3-sword style. So it's alright, cool. We then see that they're kind of puttering around. They need more people. They need a navigator. So Luffy then accidentally gets pretty much taken up by this bird, and then gets dropped on this island. It's wow, this was fucking awesome. And we see this woman, Nami. And we'd seen her in the background doing her own kind of thing, trying to steal all this kind of stuff. And she evidently trying to steal a map of the Grand Line from this pirate, Buggy. Buggy is one of the annoying ones for me. I'm oh my god, you fucking asshole. Now, granted, in his first introduction, I'm fine with him. But then it kind of gets a little bit. He gets annoying to me as it goes further on in the season. Just because of who he is. Not that he is a bad character, just the kind of character he is. Usopp, I have a little bit more problems with because we essentially have this kind of back and forth between kind of character growth where he gets enough courage to do a certain thing and then keeps flopping back and forth between doing courageous things and just being a coward. It's that balance that doesn't quite get filtered in right. But they help this town. We see him helping this dog because the whole thing gets burnt down because of one of Buggy's pirates. And Luffy's fuck that shit. That was his treasure. Beats shit out of those motherfuckers. Zoro kind of got fucked up by Buggy as well because Buggy ate the chop fruit. And, oh yes. We'll see connections with Buggy as that kind of goes later on. After I get this one, I'm going to go back to Luffy's kind of intro origin as well. So, we see that they're able to pretty much tie Buggy up for most of his kind of stuff, and then Luffy just fucking shoots him across with his his gum stuff that he's got going on with his devil fruit powers. It's like, all right, cool. This one was balanced out well enough, and they actually helped this dude because he was going to go and protect his town as the mayor, but he didn't really have the skills or the wherewithal to actually do that stuff. So Luffy kind of knocked him out. I don't quite agree with it, but it's like, listen, dude, you're not going to be able to do this. We got this shit. It's fine. I understand wanting to do something yourself and wanting to protect the people that you have in charge, that you're in charge of. However, this motherfucker's a rubber-ass motherfucker and can, like, do some crazy-ass shit. He's more equipped for this. Sometimes you need to know when to delegate. And they do. And the great thing is they leave half of Buggy's treasure there while Nami is pissed off about the treasure. We will learn why pretty much towards the end of the season. So they kind of got her as a navigator. They go off. Let me circle back to Luffy's. We also get Luffy's kind of origin, as he was pretty much a little boy, really looked up to this dude, red-haired Shanks. That's how he got his straw hat and everything. And we see Shanks pretty much getting berated by these, like, mountain bandits, and he doesn't give a shit. And I'm like, yes, that's the kind of person you want to be. And that, I mean, you don't get walked all over, but you know when to brush shit off. Luffy's like, no, you're fucking with him. And we also see that Luffy pretty much saw this thing and was kind of angry and just ate it without knowing. And the red-haired Shanks is like, Luffy, you fucking ate the devil fruit? Now you can't swim or be a pirate, really. And the thing is, we do see a lot of pirates that have devil fruit powers, but we also see, like, marine captains that have devil fruit powers. So it doesn't completely screw you over, but if you fall and you're in the water, you are fucked. So we then see that Luffy kind of confronts the people, and they're pretty much getting ready to, like, kill his ass, and Shanks and his crew don't do that shit. It's really kind of cool because for a series about pirates and trying to make a certain kind of image about pirates, like, some of them are good, some of them are bad. Red-haired Shanks and his crew definitely show up that kind of moral ambiguity and grayness, where they're like, you're gonna try and kill one of our friends? And they just, like, they're like, they don't have qualms. They start taking out those bandits like ain't nobody's business. And then the thing is, the lead bandit, like, still takes Luffy hostage and tries to swim on this boat, and this monster's trying to eat them. But Shanks comes in and saves Luffy, but he loses his left arm in the process. He then leaves his straw hat with Luffy, and he's like, yeah, all right, we'll see how you kind of do this. And that's his goal, is to be able to become king of the pirates. That cements it more for Luffy. And it's like, yeah, all right, kid. I like your heart. I like your determination. You could eat more vegetables, since meat seems to be his kind of de facto kind of thing. And you need to think, he needs to think strategically a lot more. I understand that that's why you kind of have other people to help you and balance you out. But there is a difference between, like, I'm not talking about he needs to be a complete master tactician by himself, but he needs to be at a certain level where I wouldn't be afraid that a spoon would kill him. I.e., he's doing it himself, not somebody coming at him with a spoon to kill him. Like, he forgets a spoon is somewhere near the vicinity of his food, and he just fucking gobbles that shit down and fucking chokes and dies. It's like, you need to work on your, like, ability to think. Alright, so that's out of that way. So, next kind of major thing, we get introduced to, like, Usopp and his whole kind of thing, and he was actually related to someone that is on Red-Haired Shanks' crew. So it's like, alright, cool, let's see this go. And we see that he's on this island. He's essentially the boy who cried wolf, calling himself Captain Usopp. He's got his own little pirate gang of little kids. But the thing is, he tells all these lies to this very ill girl who's lost her parents and is pretty much waited on by this butler dude, who we learn is actually a pirate captain, Kuro. He's been waiting for this girl to die, and he's actually implemented a plan to kill her, have all of this stuff deeded to him so that way he can stop being a pirate and get out of that kind of shit. Luffy doesn't like that shit, because then don't fucking do what you fucking do, and how he just uses his pirate gang for nothing and is getting ready to pretty much kill him. That was actually a good battle between Luffy and Kuro. We also get Usopp pretty much getting his cowardice under check and under control and going and trying to save this girl, because we get Django, this hypnotist dude, going after him, but they're able to get him involved, get him taken out, get her safe, and beat the shit out of Kuro. It was funny because Zoro was kind of out of the way for a little bit because Nami's trying to like protect her treasure and shit. And they tried to think that they were going to come in one kind of place, but they came in a kind of another. But Luffy just fucking racked ass and shit and just like took out pirates and this dude, and he's like, why would you do that to your friends? And that serves an important distinction of what we start seeing with these other kind of pirates and Luffy's idea of a pirate. Kuro sees his crew as expendable and will fucking kill them at a moment's notice if it achieves his goal. Luffy does not see his crew like that. He calls them friends. He's like, why would you do that to your friends? And it shows an important kind of thing, an important kind of line. He might be a pirate, but he doesn't go and really take shit from people. He doesn't try and purposely hurt people. He'll try and like go and find treasure and be like a pirate and just like wander and do shit. Almost kind of like a wandering kind of samurai kind of thing. So it's an interesting kind of dichotomy between all these different kind of views of pirates and how certain people are as pirates. So they do that. They finally get their vessel. They get Usopp as kind of their own kind of dude. He's like, I don't want to miss your friends, but he's like, come on board here. This is where they get the ship to go and marry because the sick rich girl is like, hey, here you go. And it's like, all right, cool. So now they're kind of going, and then they start trying to find their cook because that is important. Luffy's like, I need this, that, and the other. And of course, Nami has the map of the Grand Line and everything, and we see what's kind of going on. They then get to this fucking Baratier floating restaurant, and that's where we're introduced to Sanji. And Sanji's another good character as well. Kind of messed up with me because the thing is, I'm good with the voice acting because it's good, but it's really weird hearing Vegeta's voice as Zoro and Sanji's voice as Trunks, and it's just like, what the fuck? We see this like marine dude trying to be this snooty kind of dude, but Sanji doesn't take shit. This is where these chefs and the maitre d' beat the shit out of people. Like, they don't take no fucking shit. They'll kick your ass. That's all that. And this is where we're introduced to other kind of pirates of Don Krieg and his crew who did come from the Grand Line, but they have been vastly diminished. We see that Geen was one of the people that was captured by the Marines, and he wanted food, and they kind of got it there, and he kind of brought Don Krieg there to get food. And then Don Krieg's like, I'm going to take this ship and go back on the Grand Line. And Sanji and the rest are like, no. And the thing is, Luffy was kind of caught in this kind of conundrum because the head chef dude's like, you broke my shit, so you're going to work here for a year to pay it off. And Luffy's like, I want to make this right, but that's a time commitment that I cannot adhere to because I need to get to the Grand Line and become king of the pirates. And here's the fucking thing. They actually try and work that shit out. Now, granted, the fucking plot comes in and be like, hey, I'm the Kool-Aid man, But I do appreciate how Luffy was not like, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, okay. Like, it showed his ability to kind of think more, which is nice. And he's like, I don't want to fuck this dude over. I accidentally broke shit of his, and I want to make it right for him. That is an important characteristic of him, so that way we're like, okay, this dude, if he wronged somebody, he wants to help and make sure that it works out right. Of course, he does help out because Don Krieg is like doing his shit. And we get all this fucking shit introduced. Sanji's backstory is he's trying to find this place called the All Blue, where all the fish of all the seas of all the world commingle and everything. And he was a little boy on a ship, and the head chef dude, Redfoot Zeke, because of his kicking prowess, which actually that's a badass fucking thing to go for, was pretty much raiding his one ship. He fell overboard. He had to remove his foot because it got caught up in debris, but he saved him, and they went starving. He did it. Zeke, gave all the food to Sanji, and he tried to make it last as long as possible, but he was kind of going over to him to kind of like steal his food, but then they finally found a ship, and that's his whole thing on why he feeds people. It's like, if you're hungry, you're a customer. It's fucking great because I know I'm sounding really weird on this, but when a story is able to like give concrete fucking awesome characteristics and depth to a character that makes sense, and you're like, wow, that's why he fed Geen. That's why he finds this important to feed people and everything like that, because he has been at a point where he has almost starved to death. And he can't let that happen to people, and that's an important thing. It's also important for him to find this place to do all this stuff with all these fish and like everything with the all blue. It's like, wow, I like that character. Well, Don Krieg's like, I'm gonna take this shit, and then we kind of have everything going on. This is where we get everything else kind of interspersed. We get this weird dude who kind of like pops up and kind of beats the shit out of Sanji. Luffy pretty much goes to fight Don Krieg. We see that like they got like taken down by this one dude who we learned is Hawkeye Mihawk. And he's like the best swordsman in the world. He just comes in floating on this like coffin thing and has his sword, and Zoro like immediately challenges it. Now granted, is there a level of stupidity to this? Yes. However, you never know what your level of swordsmanship is unless you spar with somebody. And Zoro, of course, gets his ass kicked and pretty much killed. And he beats him with pretty much a small knife. I'd go as far as to call it like a penknife. Like, he goes fucking crazy, and he was pretty much gonna like slice him on the back, but he's like, nope, go for the front, man. And more about his honor. He's like, you know what? You find me someday, man. And it's like, I love that level of respect. Like, there gets to like like a toxic kind of nature of like a domineering kind of thing. I like it when killing somebody like permanently removes them. This is a thing of like, all right, I've beaten you. I want to see if you can get better. That level of respect where two people can fight and have differing kind of things and get to a certain point where it's like, you know what? All right, you're going to get fucked up from this, but I want to see what you learn and how much you do better, you know? That's the kind of shit that I like. You know what I mean? It's like, all right. And it just opens up so many other kind of story possibilities. You either regress, you either advance forward, you do some shit, and even sometimes the other person does. It's just that other kind of next kind of step for Zoro. I'm like, alright, so he's pretty much out of commission. Nami at this point has stolen the Going Merry and is going on. We see that like two guys who are also bounty hunters have like worked with the Straw Hatch. They're like, oh, Big Sis Nami stole it. It's like, what the fuck? Luffy, of course, has to fuck off, and not fuck off, but like fuck up Don Krieg, and does it pretty well. This one has kind of good balance, same with the Crow one. The next arc with the Fisherman is where it gets kind of nutty, and I kind of got a little bit like, alright, this is going a little bit too long. Mainly the fights, not the story in and of itself of what's kind of going on, just how the whole flow and pacing of the fights and action scenes went. Here, with like Kuro and Buggy and Don Krieg, we get a little bit better, and seeing Luffy just take his ass out. And this is a big dude. This dude's got a lot of money on his ass and went into the Grand Line. That's a big thing for Luffy to be able to do. Now granted, him and his crew were fucked the whole hell up from the Grand Line, so they weren't in peak. This dude had a fucking fleet that got taken down to like 100 guys. Alright? That just goes to show the insanity that the Grand Line can do. So, he is able to convince Sanji to come with him as the cook. The rest of the cooks pretty much start off pretty much trying to call him an ass and say that his food is shit to get him to go because he won't go otherwise. And we then get the tearful kind of goodbye that he gives because he recognized it and he called them out for it and said thank you to everybody. And it's like, yeah, it's not emotions ruling these people, but they feel their emotions and they express them, and then they move on and they do actions. They're like, they're sad at this, but they want to express their gratitude for all the time and all the energy and everything that they've done. And he is now going on to find the All Blue. And it's like, alright, cool. So then they're pretty much going off and like, what the fuck? Alright, we gotta figure out where Nami is. They use Sanji's boat pretty much to get there. Zoro, of course, is recuperating from getting completely and utterly fucked up, which still carries over into this arc. and Nami pretty much stops off. We get introduced to Arlong of the Fishman, and they pretty much came out of the Grand Line. He's got a high ass bounty as well, and we learned that he had come 10 years or 8 years. 8 years ago. And pretty much took over the island. We get introduced to Bellemere and Nami's sister, Nojiko? Nojiko! Yeah, fuck that shit. And that Bellemere went off from the island, joined the Marines, and found Nami and Nojiko. And the thing is, Nojiko was just a little girl. Like, I would go anywhere between maybe 4 and 5. And Nami was a baby, and she decided to take him back and raise them. There was some friction. Nami would be stealing stuff and everything. She knew about how Bellemere probably wouldn't have wanted them because of like how much it cost to raise them, and they had friction there. But then Arlong pops up, pretty much extorts the town. But the thing is, she was pretty much cooking this dinner for them to have, and Bellemere didn't have the money, and she was killed by Arlong. And Nami then tried to pretty much work out a deal. He saw that she was able to do maps and everything. Her goal, we learned throughout this, is to make a map of all the seas of the world. It's like, wow, all these people have these kind of good concrete goals. Usopp wants to actually live up to all the lies of being a brave warrior of the sea. The thing is, he keeps kind of facilitating back and forth on those kind of things. And I don't mind that. You can progress and regress. It's just kind of like the balance of how that kind of works out. But she joins Arlong's crew, gets tattooed, and that she's been trying to, over these years, acquire 100 million berries to buy her island back. However, Arlong isn't. He pretty much goes back on that promise. He's like, I'm not going to do that. He's like, I'm going to keep my promise. However, he pretty much sends these Marine dudes that he has pretty much got deals with to like take the money, and this sets off Nami, and she's like, fucking asshole. But of course, once Luffy and the rest of the crew learn all this, Luffy's like, yep, I gotta do this shit. And of course, the town has known and aren't as callous, and they hate that they have had to do this and have a little girl do this. Like, it makes me feel, it's not like this island and these people are taking advantage of Nami. They hate the fact that they had to let a little girl do this, and that they were in a position to not be able to do this and help out. However, these fishmen are stronger. They are able to go on land and sea, and they fucking brought a creature back from the Grand Line. However, Sanji and Luffy beat the fucking shit out of that thing, and it's like, fuck me. So, Luffy's like, I'm gonna do this, and the thing is, she asked for help, and he's like, yep, alright. That's what I do for my friends. And you're like, yes! And then we kind of see how it kind of works out. We see that Sanji and Zoro fight certain kind of like head fishermen. Zoro pretty much took out most of the fishermen by himself, even in his weakened state, because Nami kind of captured him a little bit. And also she had to fake killing Usopp, which I gotta hand it to her. She has a shitty situation of trying to make sure that the fishermen still trust her, while trying to make sure that she doesn't do anything against her own kind of code. Damn. So, Usopp pretty much relates certain shit. We see that kind of working out. Usopp fights one of the kind of leaders, which was an interesting kind of thing. Sanji takes on one of the leaders as well. And Luffy pretty much started going after Arlong first, but then pretty much got thrown into the water with like... he tried to do this move from a pinwheel, but he put his feet in the rocks. Arlong's like, fuck you, man, tosses him into the drink. And I'm like, why don't they just stretch his head out? And they finally did do it, so that way he could breathe. That took a while for him to get back up, and then he's fighting Arlong and is pretty much like wrecking his ass, but he realizes the only way to do it is to then fuck over and destroy all the maps that Nami has been making for him, because that was her prison. And it goes to show that, yes, Luffy is stupid on certain things, but he was able to figure out that this was her prison, and fuck that shit, and destroys Arlong Park like a motherfucking badass, and cracks it. Now granted, I'm kind of like condensing a lot of shit here, but that's because there's 61 episodes. But that was kind of cool. Now, granted, it went a little bit longer with certain kind of fight things. I kind of get it. Like, you gotta find that sweet spot where you don't have a fight that takes like 3 minutes, but you don't want to take a fight that takes like 30 fucking episodes, where you have an episode a punch. You know what I mean? But I still enjoyed it for seeing everything going on, where the story carried most of it, and it's like, alright, cool. Now, granted, I'm also a big proponent of action. You must communicate character through action. Otherwise, it's just stupid punching. And granted, that can be good for a certain kind of spectacle, but if you're not communicating something of your characters through the action scenes, people just kind of like click out, and you're like, alright, punchy, punchy, punchy. Oh, that was kind of cool. Punchy, punchy, kicky, kicky. All that kind of shit. I mean, seeing Arlong doing this stuff with the teeth, actually having organic storytelling of what's going on, and like the fishman kung fu and shit underwater. That's important, and that's good. So he knocks out and beats the shit out of that. We get them pretty much celebrating and everything. 3-day celebration. I'm like, yes, that is warranted. And Nami decides to go with him, and it's kind of cool. So then we start pretty much trying to get into the Grand Line. Let's see. Yes, okay. So we then get to Logtown, which is like the last stop before getting into the Grand Line. We get introduced to like Captain Smoker. Smoker. Yes, Smoker. Where he had seen Gold Roger die. We see Luffy going and doing his own kind of pilgrimage to this Gold Roger bar, looking at where Gold Roger was executed, and having his own kind of story kind of truly launch from here. Because now he's got a bounty of 30 million berries on his head, because he's starting to knock out and take out all of these pirates that are super wanted. It's like, alright, cool, building that legend. And we also see Usopp's head in the picture. It's like, alright. We also see that Buggy pretty much gets back with his crew and pretty much gets hooked up with Alvida, except she ate the smooth fruit and is now thin. We'll see how that comes from it. And she's like, ooh, I want Luffy. It's like wants him, because he was the first person to like punch her ass. It's like, alright. And then Buggy tried to like execute Luffy on the same platform that Gold Roger was executed on, except this lightning storm had other ideas and pretty much fried him. And the thing is, he greeted death the same way that Gold Roger did, smiling. He's like, I got no beef. And Captain Smoker's like, alright, this might mean something. And he starts fighting Luffy, but Luffy's able to get out of there, and because of the storm, Nami and Usopp pretty much had their own kind of thing. Usopp fought this one dude who fought his father, Daddy? This bounty hunter. He used to be with the Marines, but he wanted a kind of more safer kind of profession, even though his bounty hunting, he goes for kind of like the lower kind of hanging fruit. Usopp gets some goggles and everything and gets more kind of confidence in his skills because of what he's able to do. Sanji's swords got destroyed by Mihawk, so he kind of pretty much finds this person. The sword shop gets like two kind of cursed sword and another kind of good sword because it's offered by the dude. And the thing is, they're like legendary blades. And this one lieutenant under Captain Smoker, who looks like the girl that died, is like, you shouldn't have those things. Screw you, man, because he's a bounty hunter and a pirate. And he's with the Straw Hats. It's like, well, the thing is, you can be bad in the Marines as well. Because of that one island, just dude being a dick. You gotta figure, like, you have to know who the person is before you judge them. And, not Sanji. Zoro's able to pretty much beat her, and then, of course, that kind of gets her into the same kind of mentality of, like, that's her new kind of standard to measure herself from. Sanji was able to find this, do this kind of cooking thing, and beat this one lady. It's like, alright, and get this, like, giant fish kind of thing. They all get on their boat and pretty much book it out of there pretty well, And it's like, all right, cool. Now we're starting off. Then we kind of get a little bit sidetracked. I can't tell what's filler and what's not. So, if you know, fill me in. This was a kind of interesting one because they're pretty much trying to go to the Grand Line, but then we kind of get some more organic kind of stuff. This one dude is pretty much looking for like dragon bones to become immortal. He's an asshole. He's trying to utilize this kid to do it, and she ate the whisper fruit, and she can like hear animals' thoughts and everything. They kind of pick her up and try and figure out what's kind of going on. They try and take her home to Warship Island, which looks like a warship, and they kind of get like info dumped by her grandpa, but she kind of sneaks off with all these pork buns, and we find a millennial dragon, and he needs to be taken to their nesting on Lost Island. So they kind of like put her around, they try and escape, and we get introduced to like the calm area, which are these two belts that run along the Grand Line that have no wind and no waves, no wind and no currents, and that sea monsters nest there and do a lot of shit. That was an interesting thing, but it's like, okay, physics-wise, that would be really fucking hard to do, because if there's creatures in there, they would create currents by movement. But, granted, it's if it makes sense within the world. Now, granted, if it's really kind of weird and stupid and kind of brain-breaking, and you're like, what the fuck? Okay, that presents a problem. However, if it's consistent within the how you define physics working within the world, I don't have a problem with that. That's mainly because you have created a set of rules within the world, and it is following those set of rules. Even if those rules don't make fucking sense to me and don't fit what's in this world, as long as it's consistent and done well enough and stuck with what ramifications would come, fine, that's cool. You know what I mean? I know that's a weird thing to like harp on or whatnot, but it's a distinct thing that you have to kind of think about when you're looking or reading at a story. It's like, does this level, it's the suspension of disbelief. Like, there can be a certain thing of like, I can't suspend my disbelief. This is fucking stupid. This is fucking bullshit. Like, a rubber man. Granted, that should break your brain. However, it works within the world, and you're like, okay, this dude can stretch his ass and do all these weird fucking things. It just works. You're like, alright, cool. This is part of what's going on. That's just an important thing to kind of note and think about when you go and you do these kind of things. When you're, like, interacting with a story and engaging with it. Because otherwise, if you get too bogged down into things like, I need to see something that is exactly like this world, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that this is bad. If it's, again, like trying to berate a fish for not being able to climb a tree. Like, oh yeah, that car's pretty cool, but it doesn't have a fucking Gatling potato gun. Is it supposed to? I don't know, but it'd be cool. I'm like, I'm not arguing that it's not fucking cool, my friend, but if it wasn't said that this product came with it, don't judge it for not having it. I don't expect a pizza to be a burger, but you can make a pizza that has burger shit. I don't know. It's just important to kind of get around because you're thinking of this and like, what the fuck? And then you're like, alright, cool. So they get out of the calm area and they get to her, they see the whole millennial dragon, and then they're able to pretty much buck through. They're pretty much, they carry the dragon with them. They get to this, what they believe is the Lost Island, but it's pretty much where the girl's ancestors were from, showing everything that actually the Warship Island was the Lost Island, and that that's where the dragons nest and everything. And we see this really cool fight sequence as they are surrounded by like the admirals, well, not admirals, Commodore ships. Commodore? Or else. Yes, Commodore Nelson. With all these chains and everything like that, and I'm like, ooh, they're doing naval kind of shit. All right. We see him like breaking through shit, Luffy trying to help out, but we see that the dragon dies. She's trying to do this to help him because she wants him to get better. And the thing is, Luffy is able to understand the dragon as well. Now, granted, it might be related to the devil fruit, or which is what is kind of implied. However, I think it's a little bit of devil fruit and a little bit of Luffy's character. He is a very heart-centric person, and him being able to understand what an animal's thinking, and granted, I'd even go so far as just the living creature's thinking, and being able to say, listen, I know that you wanted him to live, but this is like a rebirth kind of place. He dies here, and then we see another kind of baby dragon pop up, and she's like, oh, that's great. So he's kind of reborn. And we see this kind of like whirlwind dude who they keep beating up throughout most of this, and then knocking his ass out of the park before he comes back again later. And everybody's like, oh, all right, we're going to have to take care of this and make sure that we like actually write this shit down, because it's like every 1,000 years, and we see all these other dragons coming in to nest and everything, and it's like, all right, do that. Oh, and Nelson pretty much got killed by this. Like, is it Eric? Yes, Eric. The whirlwind kind of dude. I think he was killed. If not, he was severely fucked up. So, they do that. They say goodbye to her. They offer her to join the Straw Hats, but she's like, no, I'm going to stay here and do what I need to do. And it's kind of cool, but I kind of think of her as like still an official kind of Straw Hat, and that even though she's not with them, she's still with them in spirit. So they decide to go off to get into the Grand Line, and they finally enter it. There, a dude pops up, and Nami's like, fuck you, man! Cracks him off, and the thing is, he has a devil fruit power. He goes in the water. He's dead. I mean, granted, you could pretty much be like, hey, he'll probably come back or something like that. Because trust me, you can do any of that shit sometimes. However, it's like, alright. And the thing is, it's interesting. There's these currents that go up to this red line mountain kind of place. It goes up, and then that's how you shoot into the Grand Line, unless you're able to fucking go through the calm belts around it. It's like, interesting. So that's where it kind of ends off, where they're entering the Grand Line, and it's really kind of cool to see all these characters with their own kind of unique goals and everything, kind of working towards that and finally entering on their adventure. And I really enjoyed this. Like, the characters, the setting, the world, everything just really drew me in. I'm like, alright, calm yourself. I understand that people are into this. Let's see how this kind of works. And it fucking grabbed me. And I understood it. And I'm like, yeah, I get why people would be watching this for all these years and being excited. And I just heard that they were pretty much, the writer is pretty much getting ready to kind of like finish off One Piece within like the next 3 years or so. And I'm like, alright, let's kind of see how this kind of works out. Now, granted, it's not because of my recent kind of things that of like certain kind of authors not finishing their work and then just being like, as long as an author is like consistent and like not completely and utterly just going like nut ass fucking buck wild and doing weird ass shit of like, I'm not gonna finish this. I'll usually take a kind of thing on to an artist, but I'm like, alright, let's kind of see what goes on with this. And I can see why people like this. It sucked me in from pretty much the first couple episodes. I'm like, damn it, now I'm into this. So, am I ever going to catch up? I don't know. Like, I'm probably never going to be current on this because of how they're every which way of where you can, like, watch it or whatnot. And depending upon if you want to watch sub, dub, or whatever. But it's something that I'm definitely going to stick with and definitely watch and potentially even read as well to see kind of like what the differences are and what's kind of going on. So, I like this and I would definitely recommend it. Now, granted, there's a lot of violent elements and this is more action oriented. So, if you're into that, cool. If you're like, hey, would my kids like this? Depends upon who your kids are. Be like, hey, you want to watch this or something? Go for it. You know what I mean? Just like, use your own discretion on that. But if it's you and you're like, hey, would you recommend this? I would, because of the characters, the stories, the nice balance between seriousness and comedy, which is a hard thing to do. Okay? Now, granted, in some instances, I'm like, I'm not into this. But this balances comedy and seriousness very well. They don't try and undercut a serious kind of situation horrendously. If there's comedy to it, it's actually at a pretty decent level that doesn't completely and utterly destroy the tone. So, that's an important thing. Action-wise, works pretty well. There's the inventive use of certain powers and weaponry and everything like that. However, my thing is with the Arlong one, that kind of drags on longer for me than I would have liked. And that's more of a pacing issue than actually the action kind of issue itself. So, you're into story, you're into characters, you're into action. This would definitely be for you. If you don't like action and pirates and all that kind of stuff, so this really wouldn't be for you, and that's no problem. There's other anime and everything out there, and we'll see all the different kind of stuff. I like looking into different stuff as well. So if you got any kind of different kind of suggestions, like I usually kind of stick with certain kind of like fantasy, sci-fi kind of ones, but I don't mind slices of life. I don't mind just kind of normal life kind of stuff and just other kind of things. Now, granted, my only kind of weird thing if you're going on recommendations is horror and gross shit. I will give shit a chance, but if it's like horrendously disgusting or completely and utterly fucked up, that ain't my kind of bag. And that's just not my kind of bag. But yeah, I like seeing a lot of different kind of stuff and exploring all the different kind of stories that there are. And this, I'm glad, was a success for me, where I'm like, yes, I like this, I enjoy this, I recommend this. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.